Good evening and welcome to Making the Case. I'm Yodit Tewolde. We begin tonight in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, where the defense has rested in the trial of former officer Kim Potter, but not before she took the stand. Her testimony lasted several hours, with Potter breaking down in tears as she recalled the moments before and after she shot and killed 20-year-old Daunte Wright during a traffic stop. BNC's Ansar Hassan is in Minnesota with the latest.
Yeah, good evening. Very emotional testimony from former officer Kim Potter. She was only on the stand for about 3 hours, but faced a tough round of cross-examination. When former officer Kim Potter took the stand, the defense began with questions about her family and why she chose to be a cop. Then they asked Potter to describe step by step the traffic stop involving Daunte Wright that led to the fatal shooting. Potter told the court it was her training partner, Officer Anthony Lucky, who initiated the traffic stop because of expired tags. She said had she been alone, she probably would not have pulled him over because it was a minor infraction. Potter then explained that they ran a background check and found an outstanding weapons warrant and some type of temporary restraining order. That made her believe that Wright may have been armed. She says when Officer Lucky tried to arrest Wright, the situation escalated. Here's how she described what happened.
He had a look of fear on his face. It's nothing I've seen before.
Did you say anything when you saw this? What did you do?
We were struggling. We were trying to keep him from driving away. It just went chaotic. And then I remember yelling, "Taser, taser, taser," and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
The questioning got tough when the prosecution took over. They questioned Officer Potter's years of training and her knowledge of department policy. At one point, Potter admitted she may not have done the required safety tests on her last 10 shifts. The prosecution then questioned Potter about making comments about going to jail after shooting Wright and if she violated department protocol following the shooting. Here's a bit of that exchange.
You stopped doing your job completely. You didn't communicate what happened over the radio, right?
No.
You didn't make sure any officers knew what you had just done, right?
No.
You didn't run down the street and try to save Daunte Wright's life, did you?
No.
You didn't check on the other car that had been hit, did you?
No.
That all happened just down the road from you.
Yes.
You were focused on what you had done, because you had just killed somebody. Right?
I'm sorry it happened.
Activists supporting the Wright family spoke after Potter's testimony. They say Potter didn't show remorse.
And if Kim Potter, in fact, murdered Daunte by mistake, we seen it in the video. She broke down in tears and was worried about the fact that she was going to jail. But if you truly take someone's life or shoot them by mistake, your first instinct as a human being, if you really didn't mean to do something, is to run to the human being to make sure that the human being is okay because it was a genuine mistake.
Now, court adjourned for the weekend. Closing arguments are set to begin on Monday. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan for Making the Case.
Ansar Hassan, thank you so very much for that report. Appreciate you. Now time to bring in our legal experts to weigh in on what could be the most consequential day of trial for both sides. Trial attorney Tinnetta Thompson and veteran prosecutor and BNC's legal contributor Paul Henderson are with me. All right, guys, before we get into some of the specifics of Potter's testimony, I just want to get your reaction of it all. I mean, we knew this day was coming. We knew she would cry. But I know just watching that back, I'm annoyed. I was annoyed 5 minutes into her testimony. Paul, let us have it.
Okay, well, We knew those tears were coming. I've been saying for weeks that they were going to come, so get your tissues out, because that is going to be the foundation of her defense. And if you look beyond the tears and beyond the testimony, look at how they had her dressed and prepared in court today, looking matronly, looking like a mom, looking like someone to be sympathetic, rather than focusing on what she had to say and what she did as an officer. This was their whole approach of trying to present her to this jury as someone that is sympathetic. And if they can get them to be sympathetic with her, they will shift away from focusing on the legal minutia and the standards of the law, which the prosecution is arguing will send her towards guilt. This is trying to shift and interpret the mistake, that we're all clear that she's saying she made a mistake. But again, some mistakes have legal consequences. When your mistakes include recklessness and or negligence, they can have criminal liability, as in this case. Someone is dead because of this mistake, and this mistake was made by this officer who engaged in a series of challenging decisions that led to the mistake. And so that's why the prosecution is going to be arguing to find her guilty. But I was not surprised at all by the tears. They were a little more extensive than I was anticipating. I was a little bit surprised at what they had her dressed in and her appearance when they had her get on the stand, but it shouldn't have been a surprise had I contemplated it a little bit longer. This is what we expected, and let's see now if the jury's going to get a clear argument that I'm expecting from prosecution to lead them to guilt and accountability in this case.
Yeah, her physical presentation was definitely giving more pre-K teacher vibes than, officer for 26 years energy. Tinnetta, your thoughts?
My thoughts were, the tears for me. That's what it was, it was just part of her process, basically. There wasn't anything about it that seemed like it was coming from a genuine place, more so that it was trying to protect herself and trying to be empathetic and sympathetic to the jury. As you said, she reminded me of a yard duty that I had growing up, or, a teacher's aide. And they wanted her to be, relatable to whatever the jury in a community, or, a jury of her peers. And so to me, it was very much so, it didn't, I don't think it gave, her words are going to come back to haunt her, especially when the prosecution gives their closing arguments, because everything she said today was really all about her. The body-worn camera footage was all about her and what her reactions were. It was nothing to do with the victim, Daunte Wright, in this case. And so for me, the tears were it was at every question, though, like every question. And it was almost like it was on cue. When the prosecution is going to ask you about this, as if she was prepped by her attorneys, that you're going to react this way, and so there was no really about what her background was. So that's really what it was. The tears for me.
Right. People didn't believe in the tears. Some people even questioned whether they even saw a tear coming from her eyes. I believed her tears were real. She cried after shooting Daunte, but the tears were for her, like you said, Tinnetta, not for what she had just done. Okay, now to her testimony. The defense went into Potter's experience and training as an officer. Take a listen.
During your 26 years as a police officer, did you ever receive any complaints for abusing your power?
No.
Did you ever receive any complaints from the public?
No.
In training, did you attend all the training sessions required by the Brooklyn Center Police Department while you were there?
Yes.
And with respect to gun training, laser training, you attended all those too, right?
Yes, I did.
And did you pay attention?
Yes, I did.
Tinnetta, the defense's attempts to reiterate for the jury that the defendant was a good cop who did her job well, does that weaken the state's argument that Potter didn't follow the rules the day she fatally shot Daunte, or does it prove the prosecution's point that she was knowledgeable and too well trained as a veteran officer to act so recklessly, this proving manslaughter?
I believe it's the latter, as you said, from the prosecution standpoint and what they're trying to prove to the jury. How can deadly force be reasonable when Kim Porter had no intention of using the deadly force? Has she testified? I didn't want to hurt anybody. And her actions immediately after, she did not render aid or anything. As a 26-year veteran who has been trained extensively on the taser and as well as firearm usage and repeating. And of course, you have to, be up to date with your range training as far as firearms. And the prosecution did an excellent job of showing the difference between the handles and unholstering both the taser and the gun. So no, I think it works against her in this case. And again, those words are going to come back to bite her when the prosecution gives their closing. You have all this experience, and yet on this day, in high COVID times, as Kim Potter testified, you decided to pull over because you had a trainee with you that you decided, again, you created the situation that you had. You created the situation. You were in the middle of a pandemic. You did not want to, you usually wouldn't pull over the person, and you were advised not to enforce these, lack of expired tags, but yet you pulled him over because of an air freshener and whatnot. So, you're creating this, an improper use of a blinker. So you're creating this. And as a 26-year veteran, you should have known the difference. If you've had this much training and this much on the field experience to know the difference between a taser and a firearm, and that this was not a deadly situation to give rise to using your firearm.
Paul, the defense wanted to highlight their client's good character for the jury by getting into some of her extracurricular activities. Things like where she would help families of fallen officers carrying caskets and memorials, all in an effort to convey to the jurors that this is a woman who cares about people and cares about her duties as an officer. Now, do you remember when we were covering the trial in Georgia against the 3 men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery? I remember you and I specifically pointing out the lead prosecutor's seasoned approach to the jurors, and that she was making it very clear that the trial wasn't about whether the defendants were good people, but about their actions being criminal and being held accountable. Kim Potter is a lot more sympathetic, I think you would agree, than those 3 defendants in Brunswick. But should the prosecution take the same approach?
I think they have. I think they've already started laying the foundation for an emotional response in anticipation of what her emotional response to this case would be. And keep in mind, this emotional response is somewhat of a distraction from just focusing on the law. But this case from the jump, and this is a little different than cases that we've seen in the past where prosecution has leaned in so heavily and so quickly on making an emotional case about the victim. Like we saw when the case first started and they had that empty jacket from Daunte Wright held in the courtroom, and they talked about it and referenced it as if he were there. They put on not just his girlfriend, who was a recipient witness, but his father to prove the spark of life. So there was some emotion and a response to an emotional response laid by the prosecution from the first part of the case. Now, here's where it gets tricky. In terms of Kim Potter's response as an emotional responder, I felt that it was very calculated and very contrived from what I saw. And keep in mind, this is a professional testifier. There is no other person that you could call to the stand in a trial like this that has more experience testifying in a court other than an officer like this. And if you see the difference between how she answered her questions from her attorney versus how she answered the questions when they were turned on for the prosecution, you see a big difference. And to me, that undermines the emotional response and takes us away from evaluating the legal nuances for the questions.
All right, guys, we've got more to discuss and more analysis coming up with my experts on Potter's testimony, day 8 of this trial, right after the break. We continue our coverage of the manslaughter trial against former officer Kim Potter in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Day 8 saw the defendant finally taking the stand in her own defense. Still with me are my lawyers, Tinnetta Thompson and Paul Henderson. All right, guys, now to cross-examination by the state, the good stuff. They wasted no time and went straight to the moments before and after Potter fired the gun that killed Daunte. Potter remained emotional throughout, but got particularly choked up when the state pressed her on what she did immediately after shooting Daunte. Take a listen.
You stopped doing your job completely. You didn't communicate what happened over the radio, right?
No.
You didn't make sure any officers knew what you had just done, right?
No.
You didn't run down the street and try to save Daunte Wright's life, did you?
No.
You didn't check on the other car that had been hit, did you?
Oh,
That all happened just down the road from you.
yes.
You were focused on what you had done because you had just killed somebody.
I'm sorry it happened. I'm so sorry.
Ms. Potter, from your reaction today and from your reaction on your video, you didn't plan to use deadly force that day, did you?
No.
You didn't want to use deadly force, did you?
That's irrelevant. If you planned it or wanted it, it's a constructive fact.
The objection is overruled.
No.
Because you knew that deadly force was unreasonable and unwarranted in those circumstances.
I didn't want to hurt anybody.
There's a lot to unpack here, but first, Tinnetta, did the prosecution nail Potter on her use of force, something the defense says she was justified in using, when they asked her, you know, you didn't want to use deadly force, and of course her defense attorneys objected, the judge overruled, and she didn't really answer, but she said she didn't want to hurt anybody. I think that was basically proving the prosecution's point.
I really feel like they pigeonholed her into exactly where they needed to be to fulfill the requirements or the elements for the first-degree manslaughter and the second-degree manslaughter. For you to be a 26-year veteran and for the defense to hone in on that she had every right as an officer to use the deadly force, and for her to say that I did not mean to hurt anybody, said that she knew that the force was unreasonable and unwarranted. So there, the prosecution basically set it up for her to admit to it. And that's why she got so emotional, because she knew that the force was unreasonable and unwarranted against Daunte Wright. The fact that she did not do anything after she had shot him, as far as rendering aid to him, checking on the other car that was hit, letting her other officers know, doing what she was supposed to do if she were to use deadly force, shows that the force was not used and that she was reckless with it.
Paul, Potter's emotional state and her showing remorse in front of the jury could work in her favor, something the defense obviously wanted to accomplish by putting her on the stand. But then the prosecution went through all of the things Potter didn't do for someone she had just shot, someone she claims she didn't mean to hurt. Could that cause the jury to call into question her sincerity on the stand?
I think that it does show some of that. I would have liked to see, and I think one of the strategies that prosecution could have used was to bring up those issues in between her answers as a follow-up question to ask her, as she was affirming for them and building the case for prosecution to argue later that she didn't do all of those things that would have been required to her, to ask her the follow-up questions of, was not that the policy what you should have done? Weren't you trained to do that? Didn't you participate in that training? Didn't you learn that policy? And to hear the answers for those questions would have been another reminder during the sorrowful and sad, crying testimony that she was aware, conscious, and knew that the actions that she were taking were counter to the policies, were counter to the trainings that she had. I would have liked to have heard that, and I think it would have given prosecution a little bit larger of a tool to be arguing later on. But there's some still really good nuggets that the defendant put out there that I thought were really inappropriate, that I thought that prosecution missed or hadn't followed up on. And maybe we'll see them follow up on it later on. For instance, when the defendant said that she had never seen fear like that before, which translated to me as scary, angry Black person. I've never seen anyone act like this. You've been an officer for 26 years and you've never seen fear from someone encountering a police officer before, from a Black man. I didn't buy it. And then when you coupled it with the exacerbated tears, and there were no tears, just crying, but whatever, we'll put that on the shelf. All of that to me made me not believe and feel not as empathetic for this person that was testifying. And I want prosecution to come back strong to talk about, I want to hear them be as offended as I am from that testimony. I want them to connect all of those dots about all of her training, all of the policies that she failed to act on, separate from and including shooting and killing this man that she says is a mistake right now. All of that's going to come back to haunt her, I think. And her testimony, while it may help if it's a distraction from the jury to follow the law, I think it hurt her in terms of what she was actually saying if we focus on the specifics and connect them to the law to show that that mistake should have legal consequences because it was both reckless and negligent.
Tinnetta, the defense had asked Potter to explain her comments after the shooting about her fear of going to prison, and conveniently, she claimed that she didn't remember making those statements. So when the state got their turn to question her, they didn't follow up on that. They didn't really press her on that, which could have suggested to the jury that Potter was more concerned about suffering consequences than Daunte's well-being, thus making her apology seem even more insincere. Was that a big oversight on the part of the state?
I think so. I think they really should have, they got what they needed to get, but I feel like they could have pulled it out a little bit more and showed the bias that she had, the self-servingness that she had when someone's life had just been lost. She's worried about her job. She's worried about going to prison or jail that very instant. And you just know that somebody, a 26-year veteran, somebody you just shot accidentally with your gun, not the taser that you called out that you used, and then you didn't even go check on them. I think they really could have focused in on that and really honed in on that, because that would have shown that she was more concerned about herself than she was about the duties that she was sworn to uphold as an officer of the law. So I think that that was something a little amiss that they can probably try to save in the closing next week on Monday. But other than that, I really feel like Kim Potter just showed how self-serving she was from the entire instance to the time that she fired and shot at Daunte Wright until after her immediate reaction. Those tears were not for Daunte and for not wanting to hurt anybody. They were for her own selfishness on that day. And in court today, when she testified that she didn't want to hurt anybody, and she broke down with the crying and the tears, the tears, I use that in quotes because it was just crying. And for her to break down like that, her answers, again, like Paul said, were very succinct during the defense because, of course, she was prepped. And I believe that preparation carried over on her cross-examination when she did not seem to give real simple answers on the cross-examination about her reactions. And then she wanted the tears to emote more than what the actual events happened that day. So I could feel like they could have focused in on that a little bit more.
All right, guys. Well, when we come back, we'll take a look at what may be coming up as this trial nears the end. More with my panel and Making the Case when we return. Welcome back to Making the Case. We are breaking down day 8 of the trial against former officer Kim Potter with the help of my legal experts, trial attorney Tinnetta Thompson and veteran prosecutor and BNC's legal contributor Paul Henderson. All right, guys, let's take a step back and talk big picture here. After 8 days of testimony, of trial, both sides have rested. Closing arguments are scheduled for Monday. Then the jury gets the case to start deliberating. So, Paul, who's got the upper hand going into closing arguments?
I think prosecution has the upper hand going into closing argument because in addition to the words that the defendant put out there as evidence, they've got the policy, they've got the trainings, which also make this a mistake with criminal consequences. Even the rules for how to use a taser says you should not be shooting at cars. So I think that they're going into this with a little bit of a lead that they have to take advantage of by connecting the dots.
Tinnetta.
Yes, they have to focus in, tell the jury, take Kim Porter's emotional state out of it. It's about what happened on that day and how Kim Potter was out of policy with what she did and the actions that she took. Her tears have no bearing on what she did. And as Paul said, her mistakes have legal consequences.
So were there any missed opportunities by either side before arresting that they could try and recover from in closing arguments? Paul, you for the prosecution, Tinnetta for the defense. Paul, you first.
Okay, so yeah, I thought it was a big mistake when they had their own witness testifying at first, where he was saying like that the officer could have shot, that it would have been justified that he would have shot. And I cringed when that happened. You should have had your witnesses better prepared than that. And again, this is a case where we haven't seen a lot of the more senior ups in the department testifying like we saw in George Floyd, where the chief himself came on and said, this isn't the policy. That was not the training. And so I wanted to hear a little bit more of that from their witnesses and not an open door from her friends testifying on her behalf or laying a foundation to walk through that could get her off or diminish her liability or culpability for killing someone.
Tinnetta, for the defense.
Yes, I feel like they tried to split the baby. She is this veteran officer who is trained in the taser and everything else, and using a firearm. However, when at the same time she was justified in using deadly force, but Kim Potter, based on the body worn camera footage, what the policy stated, and her own testimony, it kind of cut against the whole defense's argument that she was reasonable in using deadly force. So I think they really tried to split the baby and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got from the defense, yes, she made a mistake. She didn't mean to pull her taser, or I'm sorry, her gun for her taser. But then they're also saying, but even if she had meant to pull her gun, she was still justified in doing so. Paul, conflicting testimony from experts and officers. Unlike Derek Chauvin, Potter had officers testify, even for the prosecution, about her character. They spoke highly of their colleague, and some even agreed with the defense on cross-examination, that is, concerning her use of force. So what should the jury consider during their deliberations if they decide to just cancel these experts out and some of these officers as well?
Well, I think that that's likely, and that happens frequently in a case like this. If you have good experts testifying, they tend to cancel each other out because some scientists say this, other experts say that, and then jurors are left trying to figure out who is more credible, and oftentimes that's influenced by the arguments that the lawyers make. So I think because we had a battle of the experts here, the onus is that much higher for both of the advocates to be presenting their interpretation of the law. And when they do, I think that gives prosecution the advantage because the policies there would indicate that she made a mistake and that mistake was culpable and liable and criminal. And so I think that's what we're likely to hear from moving forward for the closing arguments. At least that's where I'm hoping the prosecution is going to focus, to try and bring that jury to avoid trying to be influenced just from an emotional testimony and a distraction from the law and the interpretation of the law and for the policy and the training that she received and did not follow.
All right, guys, I've got a minute, but before I let you guys go, any predictions on how long the jury will deliberate and their verdicts? Tinnetta.
Oh, this one, they're going to have to really unpack it. I mean, the incident probably happened really quickly in their mind, but the prosecution and the defense are going to lay out an extensive closing argument. I wouldn't be surprised if it spanned maybe a couple of days, depending on how much, the judge gives them, 2 to 3 days. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But there are going to be a lot of discussions back and forth in that jury room. And what they're going to do is, try to really piece out and see if the elements fit and satisfy. And did the prosecution prove their case?
Paul, 2 counts of manslaughter. One is showing recklessness. The other is culpable negligence. What do you think they're going to do?
Okay, I think they're going to be arguing. I think they are going to find guilt in this case. I think you're going to hear an argument about the policy and training. I'm disappointed because I don't think what we're going to hear is a conversation about race, and I think that's important here. We're not going to hear about the subjective and intransigent decisions that law enforcement make that translate into fear, that talk about the escalation of how we got here in the first place. And I think that's an important conversation that I'm not likely to hear. And I also think that we're going to see more tears from closing arguments from the defendant, and those tears will try to translate into less years of culpability. See how I made a little rhyme there? But that's what I think is going to happen.
All right, Paul with the bars tonight. All right, Tinnetta Thompson and Paul Henderson, thank you so much for lending your expertise.